One of these bags is a genuine Coach product and the other is a fake. In this video, I'll show you how I came to realise this and show you the warning signs to look for when buying a Coach bag to make sure you don't have the same problem that I did. So just a quick disclaimer before we start. I'm not a professional authenticator or anything like that, and the information I give in this video is just my opinion as a consumer and collector of Coach bags, which can be seen behind me. And if you'd like to see these in further detail, I have got some more videos on them that I'll link in the description below. So I've been collecting Coach bags for the last 5 years, and specifically Disney Coach collaborations. And without these, I don't think I'd have realised the bag I bought was a fake, because it's a really good copy. So it was very handy to have these to compare the little details to. So the two bags I'll be comparing today are these Mickey Mouse Canvas Cargo Totes. This bag comes in two sizes, a 20cm and a 26cm, and it comes in, I think, 4 different colours. So this is the cream or white colour, and then this is the brown, or I think it's even described as yellow sometimes, but in this video I'll call it the brown and the white bag. And before we go any further, have you spotted the fake yet? Let me know in the comments whether it's obvious to you and which one you think it is. And once you've made your guess, I can reveal that this is the genuine bag and this is the fake. So I'm 100% sure that this mini bag is authentic, as I bought it at the Coach store in Disney Springs at Walt Disney World. And that is a legitimate shop selling genuine products. The other bag I got from eBay from a Japanese seller, and I have bought some bags from eBay in the past. I've also bought them from Shop Disney in the UK and the online Coach store. But this was the first bag that I ever had any suspicions about. So I'm going to talk you through what made me suspicious and how I resolved it. And hopefully you can pick up some pointers of things to look out for when you're buying a Coach bag for yourself. Or if you want to check what you've bought off eBay is real. And you can also take a guess in the comments how many red flags you think we're going to find on this bag when we inspect it carefully. I've repackaged the bag so I can show you how it arrived. So it came in bubble wrap, and then inside that it was in another bag with the Coach branding, and another bag again where it came in a dust bag that looks like it could be a genuine one, and also a folded up paper bag to sell the idea that they went to a store and bought this, along with a little receipt, thank you for your purchase, printed on quite a nice quality card, but I guess anyone could print that. And then in there a couple of little bits, so that to put in your bag for you to write your name and address, and then care instructions. If you just note how instructions seems to be spaced a little funny, so that's a bit suspicious. And yeah, just the whole way through this bag it was lots of little suspicious things rather than one sort of obvious sign that it wasn't genuine. So coming with this, it all kind of sells the lie that you have bought something authentic, because it's got all the little bits that you would expect. And it also came with this Coach authenticity card, which I've never seen before with any of my other bags. It has like the customer service number, and it says, "This certificate of authenticity guarantees your Coach product against manufacturing defects." And it's on like a little card with a holographic strip So again, as a consumer buying this, that would reassure you that, oh yes, this is the real thing. But also little cards and things are fairly easy to print yourself if you have the right kind of machine. So I don't buy it. But just those things on their own wouldn't have made me suspicious. So going back to the bag itself, it comes in a dust bag, which on first look looks like a genuine bag, but on closer inspection, just noticed the cord of it seems to be made of a different kind of material to my other dust bags. I have quite a lot here on standby, and if you're wondering why I don't keep my bags in the dust bags, it's because I like to see them. So although this is a bit screwed up, this is one of the authentic dust bags, and it's got like a rope cord. And the material is slightly shinier and a slightly different colour, if you can see that on camera. The authentic one is just a bit whiter, and this is more of an off-white. And point of interest, the genuine cargo tote didn't actually come with a dust bag, I don't think. So I don't know if that's just something that the leather styles come in. But it's like, why would they give you one for the larger bag and not the mini? They wouldn't. It's not supposed to have a dust bag. Okay, so at this point, I was still in the hope that I had bought a genuine bag. But basically, as soon as I saw it and felt it, I just smelled a rat straight away. Partially because they've put some kind of weird scented thing in. So it does have a very strong smell that is kind of pungent. And also just because it was squashed on the edge. And usually when I've had the bags before, they're always really well packed and just really stuffed so they don't get like squashed in the post like this. So straight away I was a bit like, oh, that kind of looks a bit rubbishy. And then also just the feel of the fabric just is very flimsy. And I know it's like a canvas bag, so it's not going to be stiff like the leather bags, but just something about it didn't feel as crisp as the mini, which in comparison just has more of a solid structure to it. And I know this one's a bit smaller, so at first I was thinking, well, maybe it's because the other one's larger and there's more distance between like the corners. Maybe that makes it a bit less stable, but there's definitely a difference in the quality of materials. And on the inside of the bag, this one feels like there's some kind of like coating or just something that's giving it that extra bit of stiffness, whereas this one doesn't have that, and it's just very flimsy and doesn't hold its shape. So that was my first red flag. So I think from that I checked the label, because I thought, oh, let's make sure it's got the Coach label. And that's where I found this one, which when I first looked, I thought, oh, okay, it says Coach. That means it's real. Then I was also surprised to see a price in dollars, as this was from a Japanese seller. So I was expecting to see a price in yen. Like possibly that's a Singaporean price, but it raised alarm bells basically. So I checked it against the mini bag to see how the labels compared, and there's quite a bit of difference. So this bag has quite a few labels on. So this one says Disney Coach, and then that has the price on. Then it also has this other label about how the bag is crafted, and that comes in a couple of different languages. And what's noticeably different about these labels is they're on like a very stiff card that feels high quality, as well as the black cords that are used to tie them. Whereas this one is just quite a thin card with a little plastic tag, the kind of thing they would put on a bag at Primark. So I thought, that's throwing me a bit. Like it says Coach, but doesn't feel Coach. And at this point, I also noticed there was something missing from here, because on the mini, you have this little hanging tag that's like a leather tag on the little ball bearing chain. And that's something they have across all of the bags. Even this little one comes with that little tag. So that's just a common thing that I expect to see on the bag. So the fact that it wasn't there really set off some alarm bells for me. And at this point I'm thinking, I've been done here. This doesn't look or feel like a real Coach bag. So that's when I started really closely inspecting it. And upon inspection, it's just not up to scratch. So the first thing I looked at was the stitching, which is a bit wibbly wobbly and uneven. And I just thought, no, Coach don't do uneven stitching. One of the reasons I like Coach is because the quality is always really high. So the stitching is always perfect. Everything has nice straight lines. The corners are all tied off nicely. And this bag just didn't have that kind of quality. Also, if you look closely at the edging on the bag, you'll see the brown one, they use a different kind of material on the piping. So that goes down the sides and then also along the pockets. And you can see quite clearly it's got like a diagonal kind of pattern through it. Whereas on the white bag, you don't get that diagonal pattern, and the material used on the edging is a lot like a tighter woven fabric. So next I checked the hardware, because the Coach bags usually have the Coach logo printed on them. So I had a look at this, which does actually say Coach in very small writing, if you're able to see that. Which it doesn't actually say on the authentic bag. It's almost like they tried too hard. But seeing that initially, it was a positive sign. I thought, oh, maybe it is real. And also the one on the back, it says Coach New York. So I compared that to the mini. But again, this one is different. This just says Coach 2 times. And I thought, well, that's weird. Yes, the bags are different sizes, but it's the same style of bag. So why would they change the hardware between the bags and use something that says something different? So I thought possibly this has been copied from an older bag or on different styles of bag. Maybe they have the Coach New York thing. But I just found it very suspicious that on the cargo tote, they don't say New York. So another red flag. And then the popper on the inside also says Coach, but again that is different from the authentic bag. So next I looked at the zip pull, and there wasn't really much to tell here. This one has what looks to be just a leather zip pull, and then the mini also has just a leather zip pull. Although the stitching on this one at the end is different, the way the cotton goes around the sides. But in itself, I felt that was a bit inconclusive. So it would be hard to tell just from looking at the zip. So at this point, I'm just gonna take off this bit. I kept it on as I was gonna send it back and wanted to show that it had been unused. But I'll talk about that at the end of the video. Well, this is interesting. I just found the tag. It does have a little hanging tag. I thought that was a bit of an obvious thing to miss. However, it's quite a flimsy little thing. How's that measure up to this one? You can see this one, it bends, but it's quite solid. Whereas this easily sort of flops about. Let's see what it says. So it's got the Disney X Coach. This one's actually harder to read. And this also has Disney stamped on the back as well, whereas this one doesn't. Oof. I thought for a minute then, maybe it is real. And that's why it's such a clever copy, because all these little details sort of add up to sell you the lie that it's real. So even though all my instincts were saying, no, this isn't real, you see these little details and think, oh, but it says coach here and here and here, so it must be. But that's how they get you. So also from opening that, I've seen perhaps another giveaway, which I'll come to in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to show you the inside. And this again, just opening this, I thought this isn't real. Because genuine Coach bags come very well packed with like branded tissue paper in them, I think. And like I said before, they're very well stuffed so they keep their shape. They don't have just scrunched up old tatty paper. So it's got random paper inside, which again, not enough to tell on its own, because if I'm buying it from a reseller, they may have removed the paper and repacked it. Add a push. Although it was being sold as a new bag, so you wouldn't really expect that to happen. So this is the dreadful smell. It's got some aroma drying bags in, which are just vile, really. There's quite a lot of them. 3 bags in there. Let's chuck them out. And of course this one didn't come with any such thing. So what I'm trying to get to here is the shoulder strap. And again, I haven't actually opened this properly. So let's take a look. So you've got the Coach branding on the hardware there. And what I did check before was this like clasp, because I know on my other bags they have quite a distinct spring to them. And when I checked these, I was surprised because I thought, well, they do kind of feel like the authentic ones, which are quite springy. But this is when I noticed something that was different, and that's the colour. So if I compare it to the mini, which I haven't properly unpacked this yet, you'll see that the fake one has quite a yellowy gold, whereas the mini is quite a light gold colour. And although they both say Coach, and even on the underside it says it, just the material used is not the same. So I checked that against my other bags, and they all have this lighter gold hardware. So these two are the light gold, and then this one on the end is the darker one. And it is a very subtle difference, but it is there. So that was another red flag. And I think I will cut this strap off. I usually keep things like that on unless I'm actually going to use the bag, just in case I want to resell it. But for you, I'll remove that so we can have a proper look at it. So the first thing I'll say is this one, you can just see a difference in how it's packaged. When I've received Coach bags before, they always have this like thin polystyrene wrap on and then masking tape to hold it. So this was the other one that I just unwrapped that just has sellotape. Ugh. Whereas this, it's all the white masking tape. So I've just had a very thorough look over these 2 straps, and they are very similar. There's a couple of little things I've noticed. So of course you've got the slightly different colour of the hardware at the top. They are different sizes, but one is for the larger bag, so fair enough, perhaps the real one would be a bit bigger. What I also noticed was the fabric appears to be slightly different. Yes, they're different colours, but if you look at the edge of them, you'll see the brown one has like a different texture on the edge, whereas the white one doesn't, but on this side they do both look similar. So one side of the brown edge is different to the other, whereas this one, the edges are both the same. And material wise, the white one just feels a little bit more, I say fluffy, it's not a fluffy strap obviously, but it just has a bit more like loose texture to it, whereas this one is perhaps slightly shinier and it doesn't have that same matte feel as this one. So on the buckles, they both say Coach, but I noticed the brown one has it written upside down, which I thought probably when they're making these bags, they would all go on the same direction. So even though it looks like that could be a genuine buckle, would they put it up that way? And then again, the writing is slightly different. And then moving down to the other bit of hardware, the brown one coaches now the right way up. So just seems a bit of a missed detail, because this one, if you have it on, then Coach will read correctly from the same direction, whereas this won't. But the biggest thing I found that is a giveaway, and I'll just reiterate, I think this is a very good copy, because I'm second guessing myself, thinking, oh, maybe it's real, because there's so many little details. But this I thought was quite a big giveaway. So I think it's called the keeper on the strap here, and that's the little like leather bit that slides up and down. Apart from feeling a bit different, this one is slightly more robust, whereas this is a bit more plasticky. The big giveaway, I think, is on the back. So if you look at this one, you can see the two edges have just been turned over and sewn together to make this little seam. Whereas on the authentic bag, what they've done is actually very clever. So I'm hoping this shows up clearly on camera, but they've actually cut the fabric on a diagonal, so when the two edges go together, it maintains the same thickness all the way around, so you don't get that little like double edge where the two pieces meet together. They just seamlessly go over the top of each other, and then there's just that very fine line there where the two pieces meet. So if you compare the two of those, there's definitely a big difference in craftsmanship there. And if this video is going on for a long time, I'm very thorough. Okay, so back to the inside of the bag. So at this point, I've already figured out, like, I've been had, it's not real, but I'm looking for extra clues to substantiate my claim, because I'm thinking I'm going to have to go to eBay and try and prove that this is a fake to get my money back. So on the inside, you can see the reverse of the twist clasp at the front. The brown one has a like crisscross texture on it, whereas this one is smooth and it has slightly smaller like screw holes, and it's just slightly different between both bags. And then you'll also notice there's a little printed message on the inside of the bag, which the brown one does have. So again, it makes you think, oh, it's real, it's got the message. So whilst the message reads the same, a couple of little differences. On this brown one, where it says Disney X Coach, this one also says Coach New York, which the other bag doesn't say. And then at the bottom, a bit hard to show you, but it's got the copyright Disney underneath, and that's just in quite a large font, whereas on this one it does say Disney underneath product number, but it's very small. and you think, why would they change the sizing in relation to the rest of the lettering? It's also at this point I noticed that this one has a little label up here that has got the picture of the coach and horses. That's like the illustrated version of the logo, and made in Vietnam on the back. And at first I thought this bag didn't have that because I couldn't find it up near the top, but I've just discovered it does have it, but like halfway down the bag. And again, I think, why would you change it between the two bags? But if you're making multiple of the same product, the place you stitch the label in would be the same on each bag. So you think it should be up near the top, but it's not. It's buried down here somewhere. It's right down there. And then on the mini, the strap that I took off was actually tied into that little label. Whereas the strap was just loose. So another detail that they missed. I'm just going to remove this covering from the handles. I thought as much. I tried to look at these before just to see the fabric, and it seemed not quite right, but I wanted to keep that on for if I sent it back. I think you can see from the shape of these handles, again, they are kind of flimsy. They don't hold the shape well. And if I compare them to the mini, you see these are quite stiff and firm. They keep their shape. And yeah, they don't sort of flatten out and get that square top. The way they're stitched is pretty similar. I would just say on the brown bag, they're a bit more untidy on the inside of the straps. Just this finish along here is a little bit messy, whereas this is a bit tidier on the white bag. So up until this point, a lot of the things have only been very minor details that on their own you could kind of convince yourself that you're imagining it and it would appear to be real. But the next couple of things I think you can't ignore. So if you look at Mickey on the white bag, you can see a couple of things. Firstly, his face has like a slight pinkness to it. Secondly, the detail on his shorts, you can see like a little sort of turn up where you see like the inside of the material of his shorts, just where his knee is. And he also quite obviously has a tail. Whereas on the brown bag, his face is white and it doesn't have that pinkness to it. His shorts don't have that extra detail of the little turned up bit. He's got no tail. I think that's the biggest thing of all that I think, yeah, that can't be real. They wouldn't forget his tail. And it's funny because the reason I noticed the tail is because I thought it was like a loose thread on here first of all, and I thought it was a mistake, and then I realised it was everywhere and I thought, oh, it's his tail. But when I realised it was missing from this one, I thought there's no way they would not do that on the larger size bag. So if I just hold them side by side, you can see just the quality of the embroidery on the white bag. It's just higher quality, basically. The thread is slightly different shades. And what I've also noticed, now I've opened the bag up properly, is on the reverse of the brown bag, it is quite untidy. And you can see like loose threads and also this white stuff. Not quite sure what it's called, but I think I've seen it before when people do embroidery. They kind of sew over this little, I'm not sure what it is. Something to guide the sewing, basically, I think. I've seen it on other products, but where I've not seen it is on the mini bag. Again, it's a bit hard to show you as it's on the very inside. But if you look at the reverse of that, you don't see any remnants of tracing paper or whatever that white stuff is on the other bag. And just the finishing on the back of Mickey is a lot tidier. And then just a last note on the coach writing across the front here. There is quite a difference between the like thread. This one is quite a textured thread there, whereas this is smoother. It's hard to know if that's a giveaway or not, because when I looked up the bag online and saw like people's videos of them in the Coach store, it did kind of look like on the larger bags it was smoother, but I didn't take any videos myself, so I can't be sure. And because I'm only comparing it to the small bag, I can't really tell. But you can see there is that difference there. So whether that's another giveaway, I need to kind of go back to the actual shop to check myself, but it's a bit far to go. So I think that's about it really. Although I keep finding more red flags the longer I look at this one. I think if I didn't have this one to compare it to, then I probably wouldn't have spotted that it was a fake. And even now, I'm still second guessing myself, like, oh, maybe it's real, just because there's so many little touches that they thought of. So from the receipt to the paperwork and authenticity card, to the Coach logos on everything, to the hanging tag I thought was missing, to the little label that I thought was missing, but it was just in a slightly different place, to the printed message on the inside. You look at all those things and it builds a picture that you've got the genuine article, but it's not until you inspect it closely against this one that you think, maybe I haven't. And this was actually the first canvas bag I bought. The others in my collection are leather, apart from the like brocade finish, or it might be brocade. I never know how to say that. But I've not had a canvas one before. So if this had been my first one, I think I probably wouldn't have realised, because I'd have had nothing to compare it to. Because even though some of the things I've pointed out are the same on the leather bags, because this is canvas, I may have convinced myself like, oh, it's different because it's different to the other bags. Why would it be the same? So my advice to you when shopping for a Coach bag, I guess the safest way to do it's real is to buy it from a trusted retailer, whether it be the Coach store, the online coach.com or coach.co.uk, or somewhere like Disney Store or Selfridges. You know you're going to be getting a genuine product then. But places like eBay, which I have recommended in the past, and as I said, a couple of these are from eBay, and I've double checked them now because I've worried myself thinking, oh, are they all fake? But I've gone over those very closely and they seem to be genuine. So not all sellers are going to be scamming you on eBay, but just look out because some are. And just seeing a little picture of this online, it's very hard to spot things like the tail or the quality of the stitching. And when they show you, so just seeing a photo of it, I thought it was the real thing. And the way it was priced, I was expecting the real thing. So I pretty much contacted the seller straight away to say I wanted to return it and that I thought it was fake. And surprisingly, they straight away agreed, like, oh, you can have your money back. No questions asked or anything. And I thought, that's a dead giveaway. Because if I had sold something that I believed to be real and then someone questioned it, I'd be like, no, that was real. But the fact that they were so quick to shut me up and get rid of me made me realise I've been done. So I did get a full refund from the eBay seller, and I noticed the item and the ones in the other colours they had all been removed. So I mostly didn't lose out. However, I did have to pay a £47 import fee because this came from Japan. So I did get stuck with a customs fee when it came into the country. I have looked into how to get that back, and because FedEx had been the ones to take the customs money from me because they were the delivery company, I first tried to get it back through them, but they were dreadful actually. They kept ignoring me for a couple of weeks and then finally said I have to go direct to HMRC if I want to claim back the import duty for rejected goods, which you are supposedly allowed to do. So yeah, now I have to fill out some kind of form for HMRC and then destroy the bag if I want to get my £47 back. But I did want to do the video first before I did that. So if you've got this far in the video, I hope you found this interesting, and I hope it's of use to you if you are trying to look at authenticating your bags. Please give this video a like if you've got this far, and if you'd like to see more about my Coach bags, then watch this video next. Thanks for watching.